Have you ever thought about how habits work and how to create new habits? And have you ever thought about how to change your habits? How can habits apply to the organizations and societies in our life? And what I want to discuss today is the book, The Power of Habit, written by Charles Duhigg. Let me start with the structure of the book, and there are several things I will be covering in this video. And first, I will look at the habits of individual, and then I will look at the habits of successful organizations. And finally, I'll move on to the habits of society. And now I want to talk about the habits of individuals. So basically, from how habits work to how to create new habits, and then to how to change your habit. First of all, in order to understand how habits work, we need to understand the idea of habit loop. So what is a habit loop? A habit loop consists of three parts, which are the cue, the routine, and the reward. So how does the habit loop work? The habit loop works like this. People see the cue and they will do the routine automatically, and they will get a corresponding reward. I'm going to give you an example of this. Let's say I want people to get into the habits of brushing teeth. What am I going to do this by using the idea of habit loop? So first, trying to figure out what the cue is and what the reward is for this habit. And the routine is to brush their teeth. The cue can be the tooth film that is on our teeth, and the reward is simple, which is make our teeth white and beautiful. So that is the idea of habit loop. The habits works as a habit loop. And then I'd like to discuss how to create a new habit. In order to create new habits, we have to focus on the rewards. So spend some time on figuring out what the rewards is, and think about the biggest benefits the habits will bring you. The key point of creating a new habit is that you have to have that craving for the reward. And once you crave for that reward, you're going to develop the habits easily and strongly. And then I want to talk about how to change our habit. Remember the habit loop, which consists of three parts, which are the cue, the routine, and the reward. If you want to change your habits, keep the cue and reward the same. The only thing you need to focus on is to change your routine. So in one word, the idea of habit changing is the transform of old routine to a new routine. There are 4 steps that you can follow to change your habits, and step 1 is to identify your routine. So trying to find out what routine, what habits you want to change. Step 2 is to experiment with the rewards, which is the most important step. Spend a few days to do an experiment and find out what is the rewards for your habits, and think about why you want to do these habits, why you want to do this routine. And step 3 is to isolate the cue. So basically, it just means to find out what is the cue that triggers the habits. Step 4 is to have a plan to force yourself to change your old routine to a new routine. I'm going to explain this with an example. Let's say you have a eating cookie habit. So every day from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. you're going to go downstairs and buy a cookie and chat with your colleagues. And within a year, you gain 10 pounds by eating that cookie. So now you want to change that habit. So follow the 4th step. Step 1, identify the routine. The routine is simple, which is eating cookies. And step 2, experiment with the rewards. So think about what is the rewards for the eating cookie habits. There are many possibilities. For example, number 1, you might be hungry, and number 2, you wanna relax yourself and chat with your friends. So, and then you need to do an experiment to test which is the real let's say you can bring an apple and eat an apple instead of the cookies, and don't buy the cookie. And after eating that apple, ask yourself the question, are you still want that cookie? If you still want a cookie, hunger is not the real reward for these habits. And the next day, in order to test whether you want to relax yourself or just want to chat with your friends, in order to test this, the next day, don't buy the cookie. Instead, at 3 p.m., walk straight to your friend's desk and chat with him for about 10 or 20 minutes. And afterwards, ask yourself the same question: are you still want that cookie? If you don't want that cookie anymore, that means the reward is that you just want to relax yourself and chat with your friends. After figuring out the rewards, the next step is to isolate the cue. So find out what is the cue that triggered this habit. There are 5 questions that you need to ask yourself and write down the answer on the paper every day for about 3 or 4 days and compare the answer of each question. Here are the questions. Where are you? What time is it? And what's your emotional state? Who else is it? The last question is, what action preceded the urge?
Experiments have shown that almost all habitual cues fit into one of the 5 categories, one of the 5 questions I mentioned before. So here's an example. Let's look at a table. The table recorded the location, the time, the emotional state, and people around you, and the action you are doing for 3 days. What I need to do is to compare the answers and find the common one. For instance, where are you? You may notice that the location you are at is always changing. It's quite different, and the same for the emotional states and people around you and the action you are doing. They are all changing. They are quite different. However, if we notice the time, you may find that the time is always between 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., which means you felt an urge to get a snack, get a cookie at a certain time of day. So the cue for this habit is most likely to be the time.
The last step is to have a plan to force you to change your old routine to a new routine. Tell yourself that every day at 3 p.m. I will walk to a friend's desk and chat with him for 20 minutes. And set the alarm on your phone for 3 p.m. to make sure that you will do this new routine and change the old one. The next thing I want to discuss is the habits of successful organizations. And there are a few things I will be covering in this part. They are the keystone habits and the willpower, the power of a crisis, and then how companies predict and manipulate habits. First of all, the keystone habit. Companies actually consist of many habits. For instance, if an employee get a document, he knows who to pass this document to based on habits. And a department in a company knows how to work with other departments also based on habits. The habits within a company also called the organizational habits. And then I want to talk about the keystone habit within a company. So basically, if you want to build habits or change habits within a company, you cannot build many habits at one time. Instead, you need to focus on the keystone habit, focus on one habit. And after building the keystone habit, the other habits will be built automatically. That is the idea of the keystone habit. I will show you an example. There is a company that made aluminum products, and the management of this company had made misstep after misstep, and their competitors stole the customers and profits away from this company. A new CEO comes to this company and he knows the idea of keystone habits, so he wants to change the habits of the companies, and finally he decided the keystone habit should be the worker safety. So how does it work? the company allows every single employee to report any dangers, any risks, any problems within the production process, and report the problems directly to the management. So after a year, the company gained the reputation of the lowest injury rates in the USA. After they solved the worker safety problems, many other problems within the company get changed. For instance, the workers' attitude towards their work is changed. They are more energetic, they get more passion on its work, and the company also gained a good reputation in the world. And many other big companies comes to cooperate with this company, so they gain their customers and profits again. Then I want to talk about the willpower. First, the willpower is not a skill. A skill is something that you learn, you practice, and then you grasp that skill forever. The willpower is not a skill. It is limited. For example, in the morning you work very hard. You used lots of willpower to force you to be concentrated on your projects. And in the afternoon, you'll find that you planned to go to the gym, but you are running out of the willpower. You can't force yourself to go to the gym anymore. So we can see that willpower is limited. And the willpower can also be strengthened by signing up, for example, a piano class or some sports activities from an early age. When you force yourself to practice piano for an hour or run 15 laps, you start building the self-regulatory strength. Starbucks is a company that serves people with coffee, and the employees in Starbucks have to control their emotion when facing the unhappy or strange clients. So Starbucks wants to apply the willpower lesson to the workplace. So he wants their employees to gain more willpower. So Starbucks offer free gym membership to their employees, and hoping the benefits will spill over to how they serve people. However, it doesn't work because the employees are feeling so tired after a busy day, and they are running out of willpower to force them to go to the gym anymore. So Starbucks comes up with another solution, that is turn the self-discipline to the organizational habits. If employees do something based on their habits, it doesn't cost any willpower, and it doesn't cost any willpower to do a habit. There are two solutions that save the employees' willpower. Solution number one is that Starbucks give their employees a manual, and in this manual, at the top of each page, there is a question like this: if a customer is unhappy, my plan is to ... So the employees have to fill up the blank and come up with a solution by himself, and to practice the solution and get the solution into a habit. So the next time when they are facing a unhappy clients, they will follow their solution. This also relates to the habit loop. The cue for the habit loop is that is when facing a unhappy clients, and the routine is the solution that the employees fill up in the blank. The rewards is that both you solve the problem, and both you and your clients are happy. Solution number two to save the willpower of their employees is that Starbucks give their employees a great sense of authority. They allow the employees to redesign how the espresso machines and the cash register are laid out. Employees do not have to follow the rules. They are feeling a sense of authority. They can control something. So they don't need to force themselves to do something. This saves their willpower, and they can use this willpower to facing and strange clients or to improve their productivity. Okay, let's move on to the power of a crisis. So a crisis helps to form new organizational habits, and a crisis also helps to form new personal habits. It's like you've made a mistake, and after that you know how to fix the problem. You won't do this again, and you won't make the same mistake again. So actually, a crisis or a mistake is not a bad thing, as long as you take great advantage of it, and you use the crisis to change your habit. So don't be afraid of a crisis, don't be afraid of making a mistake. It's a great opportunity for you to change yourself and change your habits. I want to discuss how companies predict and manipulate habits. Here I'm going to talk about the retail company Target. Target uses data to predict which customers are pregnant, and they will send the coupon with diapers and wipes. So there's a problem. The customer will feel uncomfortable. They will think, how does the company know everything about me? So they don't use a coupon. But later on, the Target comes up with the solution. The solution is the word familiarity. So what exactly does the company do? They started fixing in all these ads for the things that we know the pregnant woman would never use. For example, they put a lawnmower next to a diaper, and they put a wine glasses next to the infant's clothes. So the baby ads looks very random, and now the customers will feel familiar with the coupon that used to be so obvious. To conclude, it's easier for the public to accept it if you dress a new something in old habits, and to sell something new, repeating in something that people already know and like. The last part of the book is the habits of society. And there is only one thing I want to mention in this part, that is how movements happen. In 1955, Martin Luther King led the civil rights movements, and King's message of change through peaceful means added to the movement's number and gave it its moral strength. If we analyze the movements, there's actually a principle, or say a formula, of how to lead such a huge movement and how to influence so many people. There are 3 steps. A movement starts because of the social habits of friendship and the strong ties between close acquaintances. And it grows because of the habits of a community and the weak ties that holds the neighborhood and the clans together. And it endures because the movement's leaders give participants new habits that create a fresh sense of identity and a feeling of ownership. It's a little bit similar to how Starbucks save their employees' willpower by giving them a great sense of authority. So usually, only when all the 3 parts of the process are fulfilled can a movement become self-propelling and reach a critical mass.